2nd, 2021. Please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item is to approve the minutes of the October 19th, 2021 meeting.
Move to approve the minutes of the October 19, 2021 board meeting.
Second.
Any changes? None? Roll call vote.
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
Trustee Stifler,
Aye.
Trustee Fisher,
Abstain.
Trustee Burns,
Aye.
Trustee Banky.
Aye.
Thank you.
So tonight, we say goodbye to one of our firefighters, Mike Carbon. So I'd like to read a certificate of appreciation presented to firefighter paramedic Mike Carbon. Whereas Michael Carbon began his career in Hinsdale as a contract paramedic in 1988 and was appointed to the position of full-time firefighter paramedic on December 4, 1991. And whereas Michael Carbon was responsible for training and certifying over 21 new members of the fire department. He was actively involved in the Juvenile Fire Setters Program, the Mambas 10 Technical Rescue Team, the Illinois Firefighter Peer Support specializing in mental health. He was the first Hinsdale firefighter paramedic accepted in the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg, Maryland, and attended the academy for courses specializing in fire investigation. And whereas Michael Carbon has been a member of the DuPage Fire Investigative Task Force for the past 8 years and will be retiring as an operations commander. And whereas Michael Carbon has always been a loyal and dedicated member of the Hinsdale Fire Department and made it his mission to serve the department professionally, safely, and with pride. His last shift is November 5, 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this certificate of appreciation is presented to firefighter paramedic Michael Carbon with grateful appreciation on behalf of the citizens of the Village of Hinsdale, Board of Trustees, and fellow firefighters, and whereas it be further resolved that this certificate is presented with the best wishes and good health for all his future endeavor. Presented the second day of November 2021, Thomas Cawley, Village President. So congratulations, Mike. This is a real one.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So Mike, if you want to say a few words, you can go up to the microphone there if you...
As they say, 50 words or less. Thank you very much. Shoot it down there.
Okay, great. We have a real one of those. That's just my copy. But why don't I present it?
Done.
Make it a little bit more
Here, John.
ceremonious. You can keep this one too, but. Good luck, Mike, and best wishes, and
Good luck.
thanks for all your service to the village. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah. It's a real milestone.
That takes us to President's Report. In recent weeks, there's been numerous media reports regarding crime occurring in and around Hinsdale. Chief King has been monitoring these events and has regularly updated the board. There has been recently a pattern of home burglaries occurring at or near dusk in our area. Recently, there have been 3 burglaries in Hinsdale, as well as a couple of attempted burglaries. In response, the Hinsdale Police Department has stepped up patrols, particularly at dusk. The Hinsdale Police Department is working in conjunction with other police departments in adjoining communities and in DuPage County to address these crime patterns. Residents are asked to do their part by putting lights on at dusk and, more importantly, calling the police when they observe any suspicious person or vehicle. Additionally, residents are reminded to lock their cars and remove their keys and/or fobs from the vehicle. We invite residents with concerns to directly contact Chief King or Deputy Chief Lilly at the Police Department. On another matter, one of the items up today relates to commissioning an engineering firm to conduct a study, and that relates to the village's current 15-year infrastructure plan, which has helped guide the village in replacing major infrastructure components such as roads, sewers, and water mains. And that 15-year infrastructure plan, which has been ongoing now for 13 years, expires in 2024. On the agenda tonight, the board will consider commissioning an engineering firm to conduct a study to help formulate a new 15-year plan for the 15-year plan that will come in effect in 2024. The new 15-year plan will help us identify what infrastructure work will need to be done and when it should be done, so we can effectively deploy monies that have been set aside for that infrastructure work. In community news, in the near future, the westbound 47th Street between Princeton Road and Fair Elms Avenue will be reduced to one lane, with 2 lanes remaining open on the eastbound 47th through the spring. This is due to work relating to the I-294 pedestrian bridge project that spans from Hinsdale to Western Springs. The Village Parks and Recreation Department has several upcoming special events and activities for you and your family to enjoy this holiday season. For details on this, please visit the website www.villageofhinsdale.org /PR and click Events tab. A coronavirus update. The Illinois Department of Health is reporting that DuPage's 7-day rolling average is at 2.4%, and that is a slight decrease from my last report when it was at 2.6%. As of today, Hinsdale Hospital reported that there are no people under investigation for COVID and 6 persons in the hospital for COVID. As of November 1, the DuPage County website is reporting 1,873 cumulative cases for DuPage, the DuPage portion of Hinsdale, up 27 from my last report. And in Cook County, as of November 1, their website reported 236 cases of COVID in the Hinsdale portion of Cook County, which is an increase of 1 case since my last report. So that takes us to Matt.
Citizens petition.
Citizen petition. Anybody here? If you have something on the agenda, we can wait till you're on agenda. But if you have something that of general concern, now is an appropriate time. Okay? Matt.
All right. Item 7A, this is a first read to approve the extension of a contract for lobbying services with JLD Consulting for an additional 6 months. Mr. John D'Alessandro has been providing lobbying services for the village in connection with the tollway and the Hinsdale Oasis. This was last extended in May for an additional 6 months. Discussions with the tollway are still ongoing, so staff thinks that it makes sense to continue to extend this contract for another 6 months. As a contractual matter, the extension will take the form of a new contract. The terms are the same as the previous contract. It's $5,500 a month, and while the contract is 12 months, it's cancelable on 30 days' notice. Any questions? Can we put this on the consent agenda for next meeting?
Neil?
Okay. As President Cawley mentioned, we have an item on the agenda 7B, which is for funding a pavement management study by H.R. Green in order to develop a new master infrastructure plan. And as noted, the current plan is up in 2024. And with this study, we will get a clear and data-driven assessment of when and to what degree our roads will need repairs in the future. As we know, all the road repaving we've done with the current MIP will not last forever, and this study will enable us to plan future maintenance needs and corresponding costs. The contractor, whose representative, Scott Creech, is here in the audience tonight, will be using what's called a pavement management software that was developed by the Department of Defense. The software takes various inputs, like the years since the roads were resurfaced, for which our engineering group maintains a database, the material construction of the road, and the traffic volumes the road typically experiences. So rather than guessing when the roads will need repair or driving around our 66 miles of roads, we'll get a better picture of what our future needs will be when we are budgeting and making future projections, although we'll still be driving around, I'm sure. It should be noted the software does not take into account needed repairs to our water and sewer system. Our engineering group has various plans in place for management of our underground utilities. Also, this type of software is used by many other municipalities around the country, and H.R. Green has provided such pavement management services to customers in Illinois, Iowa, and California. Any questions, direct them to him because he can answer better than I can. But no, any questions?
Before my time, but we did a similar study like this.
Yes,
15
that's what I
years ago.
checked.
Okay.
I think it's more sophisticated than one who's not an engineer would think. So it's something I don't think that we can do in-house, and I did check, and we did this last time for the first MIP.
And is it,
Did they have software then? I'm
They
wondering.
didn't have well, I don't know if they had software. I mean, I didn't ask, but I know we outsourced it to an engineering firm.
and is, you know, I guess for George or Neil, you guys that are close to this, is it the general thought that we'll probably do all the roads again in the next 15 years? Is that the general circuit, or wait?
I think this process will help us determine the amount of work we'll be doing over the next 15. I don't think we'll be redoing all the roads like we did, you know, in the first MIP, but it will certainly prioritize those in the sense of like which ones need to be resurfaced versus reconstructed. And then we're also gonna be targeting some of our water main improvements in conjunction with whatever road recommendations come forward through this study.
We won't be doing any of the concrete roads, of course, like Chicago Avenue, for instance, or Hinsdale Avenue. And then there's some roads, you know, that just don't get that much traffic. So
Right.
I suspect they'll go, you know, beyond that 15-year period.
I think the goal here is to just keep all our roads in good to excellent shape forever. And I think this is the first step towards kind of keeping that annual program in a way where we kind of maintain that high level.
Thank you.
So just one thought I had, and this came up a while ago. I don't know if you remember, George, where there was a resident that came to us with somebody who does sealant on asphalt roads, and they were telling me that this is what the Navy uses for Navy airports if it's a blacktop, that they put this sealant on and it's supposed to preserve it for many, many years. If we looked into that, whether sealing the roads would
We've done mostly crack filling.
right.
But
But I think this is more of an all-road process. Is that
Right.
something you're familiar with? If you want to just come up and, because I mean, this is somebody
did like
told me this, and I
Yeah, we did like a
haven't really
section.
followed up on it because we were still doing roads at the time. But I just wonder if this will save us money in the long term.
Part of what we would provide in this study would be alternates for maintenance and reconstruction, as George mentioned, depending on how the roads rate out. And that is a viable option. It comes with pros and cons.
Right.
I think the crack sealing is another version of that, just not as intensive. So we've used that in the past. It is effective. It costs a little bit of money up front, but it does statistically extend the life of the pavement. So
Yeah.
it's something worth looking
Yeah,
at.
I mean, I'd like to do the cost-benefit analysis on that, to see if we can, you know, meaningfully enhance the life of roads, and you know, we could put it off and we could recover the cost by putting the sealant on it. I understand one of the downsides is you have to shut down the road because it's messy if you drive on it.
It has to cure a little bit.
Yeah.
Take some time to cure, but not like concrete, but
Right.
not as quick as asphalt.
But if you could look into that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll put that in
Okay.
the recommendation set. So,
I just have one question.
yes, sir.
With a study like, what exactly is the output for this type of study? So for $57,000, to what extent, you know, is there physical work going on? Is it, you know, obviously there's engineering service. I mean, I realize that, you know, people of this expertise are not cheap. But just curious to understand the cost associated with the output.
So how this works is we take the village's information, do an assessment with that. We do a field study of all 67 miles of streets, and that is rated with an handheld application. There's a number of rating components that go into that, and then that is plugged into the software program, the Paver software. And there's also input that we can add to that and modify that depending on, like someone mentioned earlier about streets not having a lot of traffic on it. That's part of the parameters that we look at to come up with a rating, but it's a report at the end of the day. The system Paver software and the report is given over to the village to update, or we can provide updates. Every 5 years is fairly typical. Or as a project comes online, you can update that system to a high rating rather than a low rating.
So with that data, it also gives a timeline. I would assume, like on a per road basis, you should consider repairing or repaving this within X amount of time.
Exactly right. We would give you a high level capital cost and a master improvement plan, so you can plan out for 15 years how much money you need on an annual basis to maintain that road system that you have. After that, after everything's loaded in, then that analysis comes forward and is in the report. Lets everybody know what streets are required to do, next year and the following year, and the maintenance components to keep up, and their cost associated with that. Overall, the best thing you're going to receive is really we need so much annual budget to maintain this system for 15 years.
That's valuable information. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, because with our financial planning, it really factors.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's
I will
great.
add that we have done a small sample of the sealant product, like full width of the road, but we haven't really expanded it out village-wide yet. And I
Okay.
think what will happen is, as these roads are rated, if there's preventative things we can do up front to help preserve the life of the road, that'll be something that will be stated in this study, correct,
Okay.
Scott?
That's correct, and that's actually a very good way to approach this. Try some of those products out on a few streets,
Yeah.
and see how they perform.
Yep,
Okay.
that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda on this?
I think so.
Okay. All right, then, item 7C is just kind of a quick one. We'll be joining the state of Illinois and County of DuPage in purchasing our de-icing salt for this coming winter. We join in with the bidding process. There was a technicality this year which resulted in the state rebidding the salt contract, and now Compass Minerals had the winning bid, and hopefully we won't need too much salt.
Okay.
Consent agenda?
I think so.
Is this for 2022 or 2021?
Well, for the winter.
Yeah, for the winter, which
yeah,
spans
21,
both years.
22.
Okay, upcoming winter.
Okay, Luke?
Which brings us to agenda item 7D, which is an ordinance for exterior appearance and site plan for facade improvements to an existing building at 33 East First Street, which will to be known as the Frederick Lynn Haberdashery. This is the building to the west of Fuller House and previously was known as Hinsdale Furrier. The property is a two-story building, is located in the B2 Central Business District. The applicant intends to occupy the second floor of the building as a haberdashery. The use of the first floor will be determined at a future date. Additionally, signage will be addressed by the Plan Commission at a future date. It's important to note that the building is classified as a contributing structure in the downtown historic district and potentially significant according to the 2003 architectural resources in the downtown survey. Included in our packet this evening and also here from the applicant tonight are elevations for the property, which details the plans. I would note that both the Hinsdale Preservation Commission and the Plan Commission have reviewed the application and provided comments and suggestions which have been accepted and incorporated into the application before us this evening. These suggestions included preserving the existing red brick and not painting or replacing the brick, painting the existing concrete block on the west side of the building, painting any trim with a lighter color to be used on the sign band area between the first and second floors. And with these changes, both the HPC recommended approval by a vote of 6-0, and the Plan Commission recommended approval by a vote of 9-0. So with that, we have the applicant here this evening to give a quick summary of the property.
Hi, my name is Aaron Comas. I'm the owner of the building and the business that's moving in. So took some feedback from a historical committee, and so we're going to keep the brick and spruce up the rest of the building considerably. And so this is a two-part permit, so we will have a second one, so we'll come back at another time for the alley and other things as well. But what we'd like to do is, one, paint the trim black, repair the wall, the alley wall that was pre-existing white, and so we're just refreshing it and finishing that. There are some windows that we discovered since we demoed the interior, so we found some windows inside on the first floor that we'd like to restore. That would provide a lot of light as well coming through the alley, and there's some additional windows we'd like to include as well. There's a rear easement that I would like to put and change from relocating that far back door and just turning it so it faces the rear of the parking lot. So it would be a formal rear easement for the first floor tenants, so they would have two formal easements. Currently, the easement on the alley will come back with a second permit to address the alleyway as well, but that needs to be updated and repaired.
But just to be clear, for this evening, the application includes that back entranceway, which will have a canopy over the top.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
And that's also within that, right now, there is a utility pole that is basically located right between the property and the parking lot that the village owns. That utility pole is going to be removed.
Okay.
So, and that's, you can see a picture of this on the second page of the elevations. So with that, I'd open it up. Doesn't look like there's any residential input. Open up for questions from trustees or President Cawley.
So the door you said you wanted to move, that's coming up, that's not the door that we're talking about a canopy over, is it? It's a different door.
So that door is new. There's a
This
door
door.
that is basically on, if that door was here on the
Yeah.
building, there's a door over here.
I see.
And we're just gonna relocate it there because on this side, we have, there's a bunch of utility stuff.
Okay,
And
okay.
it's- Yeah.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, why are you locating your business on the second floor versus the first floor?
I have a clientele, existing clientele, privacy.
I mean, it's a business, I'm just curious, it's just
Yeah.
that, you know, if a business typically wants to have a first floor for visibility and for people that are walking by, maybe that's not the nature of your business, I was just curious.
The second floor will be nicer than anything downtown. So the building will be amazing when it's done. So I'm looking for the right tenant on the first floor to complement my business. So ideally, I love to have a high-end like ice cream parlor, coffee, dessert, wine bar. That may not happen, but I'm gonna search for it. So I've had a lot of requests, interest, but I'm looking for a complementary business. After some stuff downtown last year, I don't want to be on the first floor. So
Fair enough.
Downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the city. Again, I just was curious from a business decision standpoint.
You know, when I first found the building, when I went up for sale, and I saw these vaults, and it spoke to me that there's a level of privacy. There's just something that attracted me to this building. It needs a lot of work, but it's going to be pretty exciting when it's done. So this will be the first part of it. So the second floor, I have an existing clientele. It's all by appointment. So I don't need to be on ground floor. My business model will change if I'm on ground floor. So what I do on a daily basis, being, meet with clients on a daily basis, I now am not that. I'm now a buyer by buying, doodads, this and that. So the business model changes, and I don't need the first floor for that. The first floor for 3,000 square feet, that'll be desirable to attract a quality tenant and another business. I think that maybe Hinsdale needs that it doesn't have right now. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean, and just from a board perspective, it's just, obviously, we want to have storefronts filled and, have, people have an opportunity. Having storefronts that are not filled is less attractive to us. And again, it doesn't compromise what you're trying to cut, but it was just more an understanding of the nature of your business.
So there's a stairwell, I assume, leading to the second floor. Is that on the right, when you're looking at the, is it behind that wall there?
There's a door right here.
Yeah.
It's existing, and you enter from this, and then the stairs
Yeah, okay.
goes up. Yeah.
All right.
So we're keeping the existing structure at the front. Yeah.
When I go up there, I just wanted to know how to get up there.
Sure. Yep. And the side alley will spruce that up, but the main entrance will be in the front. Yeah.
So to me, if you go through the plan commission with no nay votes and go through historic preservation with no nay votes and no residents appear to talk about it,
Got a good chance.
it's got a good chance.
And I like your chances.
And I would just cite for the trustees to know here, HPC saw this prior to the plan commission reviewing, and HPC provided quite a bit of input.
Right, but it's all been integrated.
It's all been integrated into
right,
this application, but I think it was a good review by that
Yeah.
board.
But I think it's a nice look, though. It's a little more of a contemporary look, and we don't have to have everything in the downtown.
Right. Right.
Going back to, I don't know.
But you're keeping the red brick,
The red brick
I
was
think is
big.
fantastic. What color are you gonna paint the alley wall?
We gotta pour new concrete. The alley is not good. I'd actually like to come back and we're gonna stucco the side, and it's gonna be probably a white cream, something bright there. The windows have limestone trim, just like we're gonna do to the baseboard because it's damaged in front, where
Yeah.
a shovel or whatever, and so we can kind of keep the brick and restore that by just kind of covering up with a layer of limestone that will complement the other buildings. So that'll be probably a whiter cream, as you see, and then we'll put lighting down there as well. And my neighbor next door, Jay Javers, we're working together on this, and we may want to put some type of an iron gate that looks attractive, just like they have at the theater building next door. So, but that's a separate plan that we're going to work on and come back with.
Great. I'm really like seeing you investing in our downtown. You're doing a great job with the building. I'm sure it's not
You'll
cheap.
come over when it's done, and
Yeah.
there won't be a place like it. Yeah, it's.
Good, great.
So I would say this is a first read this evening. We will vote on it in 2 weeks just for our process. Unless you hear from village staff, there's no need for you to come back in 2 weeks.
Unless you want to.
Unless you want to. But
Excuse me, one last question. So the wood there, we didn't cover that. What's,
Under here.
oh,
And under here. Just incorporate just another element, and.
Yeah, okay, I just, yeah.
Black in there, and I'll kind of pick that up as well. So right now, it's like a white metal kind of deal, so that'll look nicer.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Looks great.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Which moves us to agenda item 7E, and this is to approve a design review and sign permit for the installation of a new internally illuminated sign cabinet on an existing group sign base at 920 North York Road for the Durham Institute, which is occupying the first floor of a multi-tenant office building. 920 North York Road is the property directly north of the BP Amico station at the corner of York and Ogden. The property is located in the O2 Limited Office District, which is the same for the properties to the north of the subject property and to the west of the subject property. Directly across the street is a multi-tenant office building, which is located in the O3 General Office District. While the board typically does not review signage, we are reviewing this matter as the property is in a design review overlay district. Same thing that we did with Pride or the BP Amico gas station last month. The request is for a double-sided internally illuminated cabinet to be installed on the existing base. The proposed sign is 7 feet 8.5 inches tall and 8 feet 5 inches wide with a single face area of 40 square feet, all of which meets the requirements of our code. Our packet includes illustrations for the proposed sign. The request is for a black aluminum cabinet, a teal background with white text. The teal background will be opaque so that when lit, only the white lettering will permit any light through the sign, which is required as part of our code. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on October 13th, and there were no public comments provided at the meeting. I would note that certain commissioners believed that the lettering on the sign was too large, and there was a conversation regarding the teal color and the illumination at night. However, the Plan Commission did vote unanimously 9-0 to recommend approval of the sign. And since the public hearing, the applicant has agreed to put a dimmer switch that'll be installed in order to control the illumination. And if the applicant has any additional information or wants to run through it, it'd be great.
Good evening, my name is Steve Hall with Doyle Signs. This is Dr. Jordan Carcaville, the business owner and my client. We proposed the sign, which is to code. There was several comments about the teal background, and I'm gonna let Jordan step in and kind of just, explain why we chose, why they chose teal. The previous design that we submitted did not conform to code. There was a gradient skin tone. It was light tans and browns and whites. And to conform to code, we decided to go with the teal with the white lettering. And I'll let Jordan take it from here.
Hi, thanks for having us tonight. So basically our logo, we had originally a Pantone display of like different skin tones for all inclusivity, et cetera, but it looked maybe, I think in the opinion of the other group, that it was a little bit too busy, that it needed one color, and so our other color is offset by a soft muted teal is kind of a strong word. Like I think of teal in my grandma's convertible that was like a Mustang in the 80s, but like it's a very muted, like aqua blue, so it's not quite bright. So anyway, it's our off color, and then we just made it 2 tones to make it white and that color, and it's pretty muted, as you can see.
The color doesn't look as bright as it does in our packet. I think this color here actually looks better.
Yeah. That sample that you see to the left there, that is the actual blue that will be fabricated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Material and everything.
That's helpful.
I don't even know what color to call it.
Yeah, it looks a little,
You're right, it's not teal.
looks more green,
Looks more
yeah,
green.
right.
I'm going for more of like a calming feel because we do a lot of surgery and skin cancer things, and so we don't want it to feel like a party. We want it to feel like soothing and approachable.
And just so the board understands, our code has a limitation on the number of colors that a sign can have. It's limited to 3, so that's why the other plan didn't work.
So there's no issue as to the size of the sign, right?
No, it's within code.
So the letters, the size of the letters meets
doesn't.
code?
Yep.
Okay.
Our logo design was actually, it's kind of cool. The first chairwoman of Leo Burnett actually lives in Chicago, and she was our branding director. So she, did this. Yeah, so it's really muted. I don't feel like it looks teal.
It's a 2-scale version, just a sample that we cut out and printed that, it's got just the right amount of contrast. Again, don't go off of this blue. It's kind of more this color over here.
Right.
This is just a 2-scale sample that we provided and printed, and just kind of get an idea of what the character height is. Again, you mentioned that Leo Burnett, who is it for Leo Burnett?
Her name's Cheryl Berman.
So the layout consists of 3 different character heights, and that's just the way the encompassing of the logo is. In the layout of the sign, there really was no other way for us to design this, so we did everything basically to scale of what our logo allows, along with the brick base design.
And it's going right into where the existing base is. The existing base is remaining.
And how big was the sign that was there before? About the same size? Do we know?
I don't
Just out of
It
curiosity.
was like it's actually been vacant for a couple years.
Okay.
I think before it was a bank.
dental thing,
And
wasn't
then
it?
before, well, the Weller Dental is
Weller Dental.
above us. It was, I think it was like Fifth Third Bank, and then
Okay.
before that was at Properties. So I do think this.
Okay.
I completely completed my survey, there was no existing signage other than the brick base.
Okay.
And two, I guess, technical questions, but our code only permits the white lettering to be illuminated at night. How does that work? Is the light just come from the white that's translucent?
Yeah,
Is that
so
what it is?
so the white's translucent, and we use an opaque paint on the back of the back of it. The letters are masked out, and our guys, what they do is they lay the letters down, and the letters are masked, and so then they spray an opaque paint behind there, pull the letters up, and the letters are the only part that are allowed to translucent.
And then there's, illumination restrictions. How do we ensure that the sign is within those restrictions?
So the design committee suggested that we add a dimmer switch.
Okay.
And so that should be included and updated in the current drawings. It's noted probably on the right-hand side of the sign.
But once it's installed, I mean, you turn it up high, it could exceed. How do we ensure that those illumination standards are met?
When we get a complaint, I go out at night with the light meter.
Oh, but you do have a light meter then?
Right.
Okay.
And we can put a encased lockbox around it if I don't know that the full nits are, the brightness of the illumination per code is allowed. We can put a plastic lockbox around it if you'd like, whatever works.
Good idea.
Yeah. Great. No foolery over there.
Okay.
Two things. First of all, I assume the placement of the sign is such that, when people are pulling out, the sign isn't going to block their view of the traffic. I mean, I assume the plan
Not by any
commission looks at
means.
that.
Correct, yes, sir.
I think it's 10 feet back.
It's back
Yeah.
far enough, okay. The other thing I'm wondering, everything is fine, I'm fine with everything, it's just that the size of those letters, I think, are really, really big. Are there any other signs in the neighborhood, I'm thinking of this, since this is the overlay district, that are, that big? I mean, you're not counting on people seeing your sign necessarily. I mean, they already know about going to see what you do. So it's not like you're trying to attract people driving by.
Two things, and maybe you want to jump in. Two things. I remember our last meeting, our chairman, or the chairman of the other group had measurements of it being, I think if I remember correctly, it was 14 inches, which is like what several other signs were for the large letter. So that's why that argument was finished at that point when that was compared. The sign is very, very important to our sustainability, as it's very, there's less and less private practices able to function. So, I mean, how do I say it without?
So you think you are trying to attract
We are.
drive-bys?
With DuPage Medical Group, Amita, it's very hard for us to survive without referring physicians. So a sign is very vital, and that's part of why I picked the property, because
Okay.
I know that we need good word of mouth and signage to bring patients to
And
our.
what do you do? I mean, I heard you talk about treating skin cancer, is that?
So I'm a dermatologist. We're called the Derm Institute of Chicago. We do medical, surgical, and aesthetic dermatology, and so I do skin cancer surgery for the practice. So Mohs surgery, but we do skin exams, rashes. My colleague who's in Hinsdale almost every day. We opened in July. She's got a fellowship or a research fellowship in pediatric dermatology with the specialist at Northwestern who writes all the textbooks, and so we're trying to offer very high quality care to the community. I have a thriving practice in the city. We're currently at 680 North Lakeshore, but we're moving to Michigan Avenue, Michigan and Chicago. So I'm kind of carrying that office right now, and she's here. I'm from here. I grew up in Oak Brook, and
I'm sorry to hear that compared, but you had a nice suburb right next to you.
Well, I went to St. Isaac's for the whole stuff, whatever, CCD. And so my dad's in Burridge, my mom's in Oak Brook. So we're probably going to head out this way. So I just need to staff that office in the city, and then I'll probably come out here and work on building this one. So, but the sign is vital to us.
Neil,
TMI, maybe.
That's
my
I
life
concur
story.
with you. I had the same thought, and I was more concerned about the color, and seeing it live here makes me feel better. But as you drive right across the street is the McDonald's, which has a sign just about this size, which is just a red background with a large yellow M.
That's McDonald's, baby.
So I know that M is actually over 2 feet tall. I don't know specifically if it's in the same design district. I try to tell my clients, hey, even if you're across the street, you're in a different district sometimes. But I do know that the McDonald's sign, the M is significantly larger than the D.
Right, and I also think when you take an exterior sign like that and bring it indoors, it looks bigger than it will when it's out in the open.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a temporary sign up and it's like similar size, so it's not overbearing. We had a lot of compliments actually.
I really
I was
think
surprised by that.
Yeah, I really think the teal gives, it's different. You don't see a lot of beautiful teal signs, and, you know, the green from BP, the yellow from McDonald's, a lot of the traditional branding colors, green and all that, and blue and so forth. I really think the signs will look gorgeous in the area. It's a strange suggestion, I know, because the teal is very questionable, and when I started this project back in March with Dr. Carterville and her husband and her partner, I thought to myself, the teal is an interesting thought, but it's a beautiful sign. I'm really excited to see it go up, hopefully.
I didn't even know what teal was until this meeting.
I don't think this is teal though. I don't think this is teal.
Yeah, seafoam aqua.
It's like, it's
Seafoam's too green, it's like a dark mint.
Yeah, it's more soothing than teal. I don't know.
I think it'll look beautiful. The red brick will also be complemented by the red brick at the BP Amico redoing their sign, so there'll be some continuity in that area.
Exactly what I thought, yeah.
You know, the other part to it, as goofy as it sounds, that little top ledge part right there, if that wasn't on there, it would look really cheap. It would look terrible. And so we added that sill, it's called, just that little black bar on top, and then in between there, for the sill and the cabinet is a reveal, you know, and that just, it kind of really just ties the sign together, in my opinion. I've seen terrible signs in my time, so.
Okay.
Other thoughts? So I'd say, as with the first group that was up here, first read this evening, we'll vote on it in 2 weeks. Unless you hear from staff, it's not necessary for you to be here in 2 weeks.
Great.
Thank you
Good
very
luck
much.
with your business.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Okay. So I think I threw away my agenda. So that takes us to accounts payable.
I had that. Everything was in order. I noticed that we spent a fair amount on repair for copy machines. Didn't seem out of order. I don't know what that cost, but it seemed like there was quite a bit spent on maintenance for copy machines.
I believe that's just the lease payment for copy
Oh, it's a lease
machines.
payment. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
So with that, make a motion to for approval and payment of the accounts payable for the period of October 14th, 2021 through October 7th, 2021, the aggregate amount of $685,304.45 is set forth on the list provided by the village treasurer, of which a permanent copy is on file with the village clerk.
Second?
Roll call vote?
Trustee Postuma?
Aye.
Trustee Stifler?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Burns?
Aye.
Trustee Banky?
Aye.
So we have consent agenda items 8B through D. Can I have a motion with respect to those 3 consent agenda items?
Move to approve consent agenda items 8B through 8D.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Postuma?
Aye.
Trustee Stifler?
Aye.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Burns?
Aye.
Trustee Banky?
Aye.
Matt?
Okay, so now we go to item 9A, second read. This is to approve the 2021 property tax levy of $11,100,926. Just to briefly summarize, we're allowed to increase our levy by CPI, which is 1.4%, plus new construction, which is estimated at $14 million. The components of the levy are as follows. Police pension contribution of $646,000. Fire pension contribution is $1,141,000, of which about $57,000 is exempt from the cap. We have non-abated debt service of $167,000. We have $5,729,000 of police and fire protection in addition to the pension contributions. We have a contribution for Gateway of $78,000. That's exempt from the cap. And then we have an estimated levy for the library of $3,338,000. That'll be subject to further approval by the library board. So the total, again, is $11,100,926. That's about a 1.99% increase over last year. Any questions? In that case, I move to approve a resolution determining amounts of money to be raised through ad valorem property taxes for the Village of Hinsdale in the amount of $11,100,926.
Second?
Roll call vote?
Trustee Postma.
Aye.
Trustee Stifler.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Burns.
Aye.
Trustee Banky.
Aye.
So 9B, we're pulling off the agenda tonight because we're taking another look at the language before we bring it to the board. So that'll be on the next agenda. Any discussion items? Kathleen?
I just wanted to update the board that we are now receiving updates from Walsh Construction as to the agreements that they've reached with our residents in the area that was impacted by the June 26 flood. And they are getting to settlements with some of the properties, and they have dates scheduled. And so far, it seems to be progressing positively.
Good. Great. Anything else on the tollway front?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Any other staff reports? Nope. Trustee comments? No reason for a closed session. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Postma.
Aye.
Trustee Stifler.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Burns.
Aye.
Trustee Banky.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.